Hi, I'm Nikki Coffin and welcome back to our Recruitment Manager Training Tips. Today I'd like to share with you two of the most important things recruitment managers should do, yet 95% of people I know don't. Have you ever had this experience? You sit down with your team, you agree their weekly targets, you agree what needs to be done, and then at the end of the week you sit down with them again and ask them what happened, and half of the stuff that they promised they were going to do hasn't been done. Well, if you haven't experienced this, then you are in a minority, because the truth is most of the managers I work with either totally forget to follow up or they never schedule a follow-up in the first place. And when it comes to reviewing and monitoring what's working and what's not working, they may do this a little bit, but it's never done consistently. So these two habits, reviewing and monitoring, for me are extremely important, because when you do that consistently, this will help your team to achieve consistent results. It holds them accountable. So most recruiters have the right objective, but sometimes it's pointed in the wrong direction. So think of a Coast Guard rescue station. When a Mayday call comes in, they prepare to launch, but they gather a whole stack of information before they actually head out. They will establish where the boat was last seen, what the weather conditions are, how many people are on board, and what the situation is. All of these things will influence their decision on what resources to use and what needs to be done to save the people involved. They don't blindly go out just because they know they've got to go for a rescue. If they launch before establishing what, where and how, they could waste precious hours and completely miss the people that need help. The same applies to managing your team. You can't work out how to get somewhere unless you know where you're heading and specifically what needs to be done and where you need to focus. So it's important to know what's working and what's not. When you sit down with your team, perhaps to work out their 90-day plan and then their weekly plan, you first need to assess what they've been doing that's working and what they've been doing that's not working. And one of the best ways to assess that is looking at their key performance indicators, KPIs, and also ratios, which shows them the quality of their process to see what's working and what's not. Now, I know that for some managers, tracking and analysing activities may seem like you're micromanaging your team. But in recruitment, the only thing that you can manage as a manager is activity. You can't manage results. And by getting them to increase their activity and quality of their process will help you to manage better results. Remember too that individuals in your team may need different KPIs, and they always should be linked back to their critical activities. So choose simple things like CV sent, first interviews, jobs won, and sit down with each of your team individually to work out what are the most important for them, and know which is important for them to work on and what's not. When people go off track, it's normally only a couple of things that they've stopped doing. So don't let small changes go unnoticed. I worked with one recruiter that was consistently a top biller. She never failed to reach 30k each and every month. But then she hired 2 consultants that she managed, and suddenly her billings dropped down to 10k a month. When I asked her what she was doing differently, she said, "There's nothing I'm doing differently." However, when we looked at her KPIs and we dug deeper, we discovered that her candidates registered to placement ratio had gone through the roof. So from having to see 2 candidates to make a placement, it shot up to 10 candidates to make a placement. She was doing something different with her candidates. And when we looked at what it was, she'd always used to have face-to-face meetings with her candidates, but now she was managing 2 consultants. She stopped doing that because she felt she didn't have the time. And just by having the ratios, we were able to drill down to see what the problem was, and it allowed her to make small changes. So she reprioritised face-to-face meetings with candidates, and within 4 weeks, her billings went back up to the previous levels. So this is just one example of how important monitoring activities and ratios are for managing performance. It shows you very quickly where the problem is so that you can change it. And when reviewing and monitoring, it's important to be systematic. The key to monitoring and reviewing is to have a system and start to automate your processes. So get your consultants to capture data so that when you need to pull a report off, the information is already on the system. Book in weekly and monthly reviews and prioritise that time to focus on your team. Block time in your diary to get away from the busyness of the office and be able to review the activity and results so that you know where your team is winning and where they need to improve. It's only when you have a clear view of what is going on that you can helicopter in and make more changes that will make a big difference. So there you have it. That's our recruitment manager training tip for today. And if you'd like to know even more tips on how to become a top performing team, sign up to my new free training webinar, The 9 Keys to Get Your Team to Build Multiple Figures This Year and Beyond. Here's the link to sign up for that. I'm going to be sharing with you some new techniques and tools on how to get top performance. All you need to do is to click on this link to book your place. So thanks very much for your time today. I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to seeing you next time.